it's Lindy. This is another installment of movement improvement. In this little mini series, we're talking about going from sitting to standing and standing to sitting. In the last video, I gave you a little assessment to practice about how you get up out of a chair. Go watch that. We'll make sure that there's a link to that video below. Today, we're going to talk about the opposite. How do we go from standing to sitting with control? This is something that we notice in our elderly population, that they lose the ability to go from sitting to standing and standing to sitting. In the last video, I asked you to just assess getting up. Today, we're going to assess getting down. So you're going to stand with a regular sized chair behind you. Ideally, it's going to be a chair that has a firm surface. I'm just using a little wood stool. Before you sit down, you're just going to reach behind you and feel your sit bones. I asked you to do this in the last video when you were sitting. Now you're going to feel them again as you're standing. In order to go down into a chair, the sit bones, the back of the pelvis has to widen. The hips and knees and ankles have to bend. The beginning of going from standing to sitting, the torso stays relatively vertical. But at some point, the torso tips forward. I'm going to show you this from the side in a second so you can see it. The torso tips forward, the pelvis widens, and then we come down into the chair, and then the torso comes back to vertical. To reverse that, the torso tips forward, hips, knees, and ankles are bent, the pelvis propels us up, and we end up vertical again. So here's sitting with somebody who doesn't have the power in their core to be able to get up. So typically what happens, they're starting from behind their pelvis, the head comes forward, they use their arms and their body weight somehow to propel themselves all the way forward, and then somehow they manage to stand themselves back up. Ideally, it's a little plie, it's a little tip forward, and then the pelvis is the base of the support that lowers us down. Practice that today, and we'll talk a little bit about, if you're finding that you're not able to do that in a regular sized chair, how you can practice getting more control over sitting to standing and standing to sitting. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.